Now, the top story tonight, President Biden's vaccine mandates are receiving backlash from conservatives who fear our days as a perfect, freedom-loving snuff film may be drawing to a close.
But you better get the vaccine or Dr. Joe Biden is going to unleash the full force of the federal government against you and your loved ones and your employer. And you will be canceled in society altogether. You'll be shut out of everything.
Can you imagine being canceled from society altogether, all because your body is decomposing in a medical waste bin? Meanwhile, in Florida, Governor and graveyard completionist Ron DeSantis had this to say about President Biden.
This is a guy that promised when he ran for president that he would shut down the virus. If you look now, there's 300% more cases in this country today than a year ago when we had no vaccines at all. So his policies are not working.
President Biden's policies are a complete failure against people willing to contract COVID as a means of making Biden look like a complete failure. Barry, you're a legendary director of films such as Men in Black and Get Shorty. Would you say that, if anything, Hannity and DeSantis are under-dramatizing Biden's threat of tyranny?
James, let me say this. I have a piece of paper here which I'd like to read to you.
Ooh.
It's from the 1904 Supreme Court ruling, which was 7-2, when someone refused to get vaccinated for smallpox. The Supreme Court said there are manifold restraints to which every person is necessarily subject for the common good. Everyone had to be vaccinated for smallpox. In addition, James, everyone is required to be vaccinated before going to school for measles, smallpox, all these diseases. These people are true idiots.
Well, I think you lost Hannity and DeSantis at the words common good.
Biden is completely perverting the federal government's role. He's supposed to force Americans to end their lives overseas, not continue living them here at home.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is a political winner for Joe Biden. We took a really strong federal government stance against smoking, and now look, I saw an ashtray once 3 weeks ago.
I must say, we've seen this time and again. The first sign of authoritarianism is the president telling citizens to take some medicine so they don't kill their kid's school teacher.
Absolutely. It's a
Scary
slippery
stuff.
slope. You were going to say it was a slippery slope?
No, I said scary. I said it's scary stuff.
It's
But
also
it's
scary.
a scary, slippery slope.
It's a scary, slippery slope. Moving on to the latest on President Trump's shadow presidential campaign. Trump spent 9/11 commemorating Americans' freedom to provide commentary for a pay-per-view boxing match. Here's the president's somber words honoring all 2,997 brain cells lost in the boxing ring that day.
Hard Rock in Florida, and we're going to have hopefully a very great night with a lot of great champions, and they're going to be, for them, they're going to be having a good time.
Guys, I think this is going to be a lot of levity at the end of a rather somber day. Have a little bit of fun. Don't forget to shoot me your questions. I may have to finally twist his arm a little bit to find out about Area 51 and the aliens and whatever else you may want to ask about. So we're going to have some fun at the end of a somber day.
Beautiful statement. Don Jr. really drove home the message that 9/11 was kind of a bummer. Meanwhile, one of the biggest names in 9/11, Rudy Giuliani, commemorated the day by drinking jet fuel.
Tony Blinken or Miley? How's that guy a general? Jesus. The other day, he said that the Bagram Air Force Base is not strategically important. I wanted to grab his, what do you have, 5 stars, 10 stars, 12 stars? He has so many stars they're coming up into his ears. I wanted to grab his stars, shove it down his throat and say, it's 400 miles from China, asshole. China is going to be our enemy for the next 40 years. You have an air base 400 miles from them and you're giving it up, idiot. What the hell is wrong with you? Who paid you? That is crazy. I don't know. I shouldn't get into this. What Biden did in the last 2 weeks is freaking insane.
To be fair to Rudy, sometimes you need to kick back a few to be loose enough to share your foreign policy expertise. Now, Barry, obviously President Trump and his colleagues are putting the pieces in place for a formidable 2024 presidential campaign. Yeah. Will Biden look weak if he doesn't spend Pearl Harbor Day encouraging old men to fight?
So these people are deplorable. My wife and I have had 3 run-ins with Donald Trump in our lives. In fact, I was directing a movie in Florida and was invited to lunch at Mar-a-Lago. My wife and myself and my daughter and my producing partner at the time were having breakfast with Trump in his dining room. We all were given breakfast, and Trump was given an entire plate that had nothing but bacon on it.
Nothing
True
weird
story.
about that.
We crossed over some lawn, and he said, see this lawn? Lawn magazine says this is the single greatest lawn on the planet. We were standing in front of the spa, which has these two big doors, and he literally said to us, Spa Door Magazine says these are the greatest spa doors in the history of spas. This is a man who's so insecure that he has to go to that level of stupidity to open his mouth.
Well, congratulations on surviving a meal at Mar-a-Lago without drowning in salmonella-infused diarrhea.
I think we're being too hard on President Trump. 9/11 was in the morning. The night is up for grabs.
Okay.
And, you know, you can't fault Trump for meeting the American people where they are, largely unable to understand tragedy and preferring to watch an old man get knocked out instead.
I feel bad for Rudy Giuliani. It's clear after all these years, he's still wrestling with the trauma that comes from being Rudy Giuliani.
Now, moving on from the 9/11 anniversary to more somber news, Tuning Out the News was defeated by the team behind Carpool Karaoke at the Creative Arts Emmys on Sunday. After the shocking theft, our producers were consoled by dozens of music composers and lighting designers, adding awkwardness to tragedy. Despite the news, we take no pleasure in revealing our bombshell special report entitled Carpool Karaoke Psycho Joyride Down Satan's Gullet. Among the accusations are that Carpool Karaoke participants sing to hide screams of children in the trunk being delivered to the Sinaloa cartel.
They chain the elderly to the back like just married soup cans.
Deliver home-cooked meals to January 6th's insurrectionists.
Yeah, and flash their brights at oncoming traffic and thrill kill anyone who flashes them back.
Barry, how can we explain Carpool Karaoke to our children, and should they ever forgive us for letting it happen?
I will say that the car that they drive in, which is a Range Rover, has no trunk, so I don't buy the kids in trunk story.
You're saying they drag him under the chassis?
Or Barry's in on this.
You know, after every Carpool Karaoke episode on YouTube, the algorithm sends you to a recruiting video for the Taliban.
Well, what I want to know is why won't Apple release the Carpool Karaoke pilot featuring Tim Cook with Jeffrey Epstein riding shotgun?
It's a mystery.
They got nothing to hide.
We'll all remember those trophy we lost on 9/12 for years to come, but moving on. Barry, you have a book entitled Barry Sonnenfeld, Call Your Mother, Memoirs of a Neurotic Filmmaker, available now in paperback. What will this book tell us about your storied career, and does it include a guarantee that you will never license the Men in Black theme to Carpool Karaoke?
I will never allow that to happen. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. What you will, well, you'll learn a lot. You'll learn that the title of the book, Barry Sonnenfeld, Call Your Mother, is because I was paged at 2:20 in the morning at Madison Square Garden while Jimi Hendrix was warming up when I was 17 years old with the announcement, 19,600 people, Barry Sonnenfeld, Call Your Mother. So that's an example of the sad and tragic, overprotected Jewish parents that I had that you will enjoy reading about.
Here at Big News, we love Jews no matter where they come from. That is the official stance of Big News. Speaking of which, the lawyers from the 22nd floor are gathering in the control room, which means I probably said something bad again. So let's wrap it there.